Research has shown over the last 20 years that men's close friendships have been declining, the amount of friends, the quality of friendship. So through online gaming, we are trying to better understand how men might be using this platform to connect, how we can leverage things that they are already doing, like video gaming, to enhance their social connectedness and their mental health. My name is Prochnow. I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Health Behavior at the School of Public Health at Texas A&M. The research that we did followed a specific gaming site. It's a very small gaming site. For anonymity, I'm not going to report that. But this gaming site was around college football. And what we found, or what we researched, was their mental health, their social connectedness online and in person. And we followed that over a full year. And then we also had some qualitative questions indicating what types of conversations they had, what was their last conversation that they had with someone on site, and just to characterize what types of topics that they would normally talk about with individuals on the site. Research has shown that around 50% of Americans, or over 50% of Americans, will feel some kind of social isolation. But we also know that men underreport feelings of isolation. They underreport mental health problems. So we don't actually have a really good idea of how many men are struggling with this. We do know that it has been increasing, or at least the reported numbers have been increasing. And that's largely due to some of the stigma around mental health, around men's social connectedness. In some of the research that we've been doing, we see that men feel comfortable talking to others, to making new friends online, and specifically in our research, online gaming is an avenue to do that. They are already doing some of those things for fun, for achievement, for escapism, but now they're also doing it for an avenue to socialize, or to reconnect with others, or find new friends, or other individuals that they have things in common with. Yeah, so the conversation around male socialization is really picking up steam right about now. We see a lot of social isolation, a lot of lack of social connectedness being reported, and actually underreported by young men and men in general. But right now, we really want to take a better look at how men socialize and different avenues that can encourage young men to both reach out to others and find third places, or places where they can connect with others. The way that men have met traditionally, and this is across gender as well, is what we call third places, or places outside of work and school or home that you might be meeting people. You feel comfortable there, you feel a sense of community with that place. So think of things like coffee shops, churches, bars, any of those spaces. And through different cultural shifts, some of those third places are going away. There's lots of things about gaming that would attract young men and men in general. It's a platform that they are used to from little on. Gamification of whether that's sports to puzzles to whatever they're going to be doing growing up. But also it is seen as still a masculine type of activity where that is not stigmatized, where they can go on, they can play different types of games, where they can see themselves as different things or achieve different things that they might not in real life. There's a number of different ways that gamification, socialization, and online games can interplay or interlock. One avenue of that is when you are just playing games with someone, you are in that space and naturally you start to have conversations. So in a couple of our studies, we found that while gamers would start talking about different aspects of the game, getting advice from more senior players, those conversations slowly started to mature and change into aspects of real life. For example, one of the conversation topics that we saw in our studies was they were actually talking about moving across the country and how can we go about a job change, or we had a member talking to another member about adoption processes because they knew that this member had gone through that process. And you wouldn't really think of that as being something being talked about in a group of young men that's centered around a football game. But some of these topics started to come out, and that's where we really started clicking as far as this has real world implications outside of getting better football performance. There is a sense of safety here. I would say it might come from anonymity, where these individuals may not be in their close social support systems already, so they feel a little bit more comfortable being honest, open, and discussing some things that may be a little stigmatizing or where they would feel a little backlash from their close social support networks. So maybe these systems were something that they feel like they have the freedom to expand, to ask for advice on some of these things. The aspects that we really liked about this research is we are also seeing a decrease in help-seeking behavior from men. So by giving them something to do while they are talking, to give them a common activity already baked in where they have some kind of trust, some kind of enjoyment, that also helps some of these conversations, and providing what we call a source of homophily or source of sameness, where you know that the person on the other side is already interested in college football or gaming or whatever it might be, that also enhances your feeling of social connectedness. You have something shared common with them, and it almost reduces some of the bias or stigma around men seeking help or men talking. So I want to be clear with this, though. Our research shows that in-person connection is still far more valuable for mental health for those purposes. And we're seeing that a lot of these men may be using online connections to supplement what they're seeing in person. So, for example, maybe an individual may not be getting the social support or the type of social interactions that they want in person, so they're using these online platforms to supplement them, or they're using these online platforms to reconnect with people that they know in real life. One of the aspects that we were looking at too is the implications of this research, or where do we want to go from here? And I would like to say that we would use these types of interactions as a stepping stone or as an avenue to increase other types of health promoting social interactions. So there's aspects of using online forums, things like this, to facilitate in-person meetups, to draw individuals together over a common goal, and then also influence them to meet in person, to kind of strengthen those health-enhancing properties. So the idea is that if we are going to have these individuals communicate online, how can we do it in a health-enhancing format? How can we reach these men where they're at instead of trying to get them to communicate in a form that they're not as comfortable with?